Hello, folks, and welcome to Dueling Grounds. With me, I have the one, the only, the legend himself, Tom Metelsky. How's it going, man?
Hey man, how's it going, everybody?
Yeah, my name, of course, is Francisco. Thank you so much for watching this. This is some interesting new form of content that we've been thinking about making for a while with Tom. What we're going to be looking at in this new video series is we're going to effectively choose a topic for every new video, and then both Tom and I are going to bring something to the table about that, and then we'll just play some Magic. We're gonna play some pre-modern matches, and then we're going to decompose everything that's going on. So here we're gonna hopefully have a little bit of everything. We're gonna have some decks, some cool decks, some tier 1 decks maybe sometimes, and hopefully some high level gameplay as well. So very excited to have this to put this together. Tom, how are you feeling?
I'm pumped, man. Once we started brainstorming on this whole idea, it was just so exciting, right? And just to broadcast and bring more content for pre-modern, how can you not be pumped? It's the best format, and it's not even close.
Not even close. And what we have
Not even
exactly, and what we have going on for today is going to be works in progress. That's going to be our very first topic. So both Tom and I are constantly messing around with new ideas and thinking about new ideas on like brewing in pre-modern or exploring new concepts or whatnot. And what we're going to be doing today is showing you a couple of things that we've been thinking about. So without further ado, let's get started. And what we're going to be starting with is going to be a nice and spicy little number. This is something that I've been thinking about, which is red-green survival. I am very, very a big fan of this card. I am obsessed over it, and I am very sure that there are many more shells for this card, particularly on the more fair axis, that are not explored enough. I firmly believe that there is a good green-white survival deck, green-red survival, and green-black survival deck. Obviously, we have Survival Madness piloted and like explored a lot by Cyberpunkers, so that one is already an established archetype. But all of the other combinations of colors, I feel like they're very underexplored, and I feel like there's something to this shell in particular. So the idea of this red-green deck and what I was looking for when trying to put it together is my original idea was something with like Avalanche Riders and trying to have like a little bit of a land destruction sort of approach to it. I was not that big of a fan of that aspect of it, and then I saw a deck list posted by Trupa in the Discord, and they've been messing around with something in this axis as well. Their version is a lot more aggressive, and mine is trying to be a little bit of more pivoting sort of version. So I am starting as a mid-range deck, and then the idea is I want to be able to pivot back and forth between being more aggressive and closing the game quickly versus trying to play a longer game and trying to grind down. So this is the deck list that I've been thinking about and putting together. You need a bunch of actual forests and actual mountains because we are playing stuff like Brawn and Anger, and also because we have a bunch of mana dwarfs that we want to be able to play on turn 1. The ideal curve obviously is turn 1 Burst of Paradise, Fiend Horn Elves, or like Llanowar Elves into turn 2 Survival plus Activate and get the Squee engine going, or like turn 2 Call of the Herd in order to start pulling ahead and then start to drop monster after monster from there on. But we also have access to removal in Lightning Bolt or like Grim Lavamancer as a tutorable target to start mowing down opposing creatures. Same thing with Sharpshooter, fantastic against elves, goblins, stuff like that. We also have some actual bangers. I'm not even sure if these are great, but like I wanted to play with Flametongue Cabo and I wanted to play with Nastigore. They may be great, they may be terrible. We will only find out after playing some games. But yeah, we have like a bunch of one-offs, sort of giving some toolbox kind of vibes. And then the interesting thing that I saw Trupa doing was playing Summoner of Gaia's Cradle. So by having access to Baskin Rootwalla, you can turn every green source, once you have a survival, into multiple bodies. And once you have a bunch of bodies in play, you actually get to take very good advantage of Gaia's Cradle. So having access to multiple cradles can potentially allow you to have some very explosive turns thanks to survival. But yeah, obviously this is in a very preliminary stages, so not necessarily well tuned or anything like that. There are certain cards that I do consider to be very much flex slots. I don't know if Brawn is worth it, for example. Obviously Anger is, but I'm not sure about Brawn. And Blastoderm is also, an explosive card, but at the same time, I don't know if this is what I want to be doing, or if I want to go in. I want to be going bigger, or maybe not big enough. So there's a lot of places and a lot of pivoting that we can do with a deck like this, and of course, survival giving access to a full toolbox does make that even harder to put together. Do you have any questions about the deck, Tom?
No, it's interesting. So people might look at this and think, why aren't you playing elves, right? Maybe elves is just a better version, but I think you're right. There's something here in the red green variant of just playing survival, and it's different than elves, right? Elves kind of has its own game plan, but this looks very, like you said, it's very toolbox ish. And I mentioned to you earlier, it reminds me of like the 10-year ago birthing pod decks. So you got your silver bullets, you got the creatures that you need, like your mana dorks and stuff like that. But the Root Walla survival engine is definitely probably underexplored, and this looks really interesting. I think this looks really strong. So you're onto something.
Three, two, and okay, Tom. So what did you bring to the table?
All right, so I brought everyone's favorite deck, Psychatog, right? Dr. Teeth. This is nostalgia in a can, but this deck has a lot of power. So I've been working on this since I started playing pre-modern about 4 years ago, and definitely my favorite deck to play. But it's got some weaknesses in the format, but that's okay. It definitely has reach, and it can take down a tournament. So a lot of flex slots are available, and it's mainly in the mana base and removal spells. You got like your gush, your psychotog, your factor fictions, and your cantrips. That's like the shell that you need, and it can't really change. So you got to be careful there. But what you really want to do is just like kind of draw go style, and then get ahead on card advantage, control the board. You just need one psychotog, and then you want to go to win the game with one swing. Sometimes you can chip away, but you really want to just kind of control the board, get ahead on cards, and win with one psychotog. Um, and then there's some flexibility slots, like I was mentioning with the land. So Volrath Stronghold just makes so much sense. You can discard some of your psychotogs early if necessary, and then you can get them back later on. There's also some interesting situations where you can just fuel with wonder. So pitch wonder, attack, end an opponent's turn, put wonder back, get it back, put it in the graveyard for +1, give it flying again, attack. So crazy situations like that. And then Dust Bowl is good in control decks. It's just good utility against Manland, which can kind of be a problem for them to get an early start and be ahead. But that's kind of summing it up. And then in the sideboard, you got to worry about Psychotog's probably worst matchup, which is maybe Sly or just Dex running red. So you need to have Hydroblast, easy removal spell for like goblins and stuff like that. And it's really good against Pyroblast, which is a 1 mana removal spell for Psychotog. And then you get your Engineered Plague, which is one of the most versatile sideboard cards. People just mainly think of it for tribal decks, but it's got a lot of game too against if you run into like Devour and stuff. It's just kind of like another null rod there. And one card that's like a little slow, but it's probably necessary is Nev's Disc. You just need an answer to the permanents laying around that you can't deal with. Enchantress can be a rough one, but Nev's Disc kind of solves some of those problems, right? You just play your Nev's Disc when you can, preferably with a counter spell up so they can't get rid of it. And then next turn you kind of wipe the board and take over from there. But that's Psychotog and pre-modern. Fran, do you have any questions?
Yes, I like a lot of what you got going on here. The very first thing that interests me is the mana base, right? Like, what made you arrive at like this number of islands? Only two underground rivers, none of the other like dual lands that we oftentimes see, stuff like Salt March, and then the Singleton Cephalid Coliseum as well.
Yeah, with Underground River, I had four, and you need to run two. The problem is Sly is one of your worst matchups, and you just don't want to be taking any damage, right? You just don't want to be doing that. Islands, I'm a Gush is my favorite spell of all time. Sometimes I play decks with 9 or 10 islands, but you can't do it. You need 11. So I'm using that like 10 to 11 range, but 11's probably the right number in most decks. If you're less than 10, you probably can't be playing Gush. But that's summing up that part. One thing I wanted to add also for AK and Impulse. Psychatog wants AK for that draw go game. And it's got just extra value where if decks bring in graveyard hate post board, which probably isn't correct in my opinion, but main game one you're gonna have you can get very ahead with AK, and then Impulse doesn't really match the draw go play style, so I've done both, and Impulse does not fit. You want to go with AK.
How about the singleton intuition and the shadow grave is delightful, by the way. Let me just throw that out of the way. But what about the one of intuition? Is this like your intuition for accumulate knowledge? Is that like the most common play pattern for it?
It used to be, until I've realized there's definitely more versatility there. I'm usually even so that is that option, right? But usually it's something along the lines of like counter spells or
Mm-hmm.
a way to just to get wonder into your graveyard. So
Mm.
a lot of times I felt like it's either to get ahead on cards or for lethal. So you will find the wonder, and no matter what they do, right, you're gonna get value there. So that's typically what it's for. It's on that flex scale where it could be out, but I like one right now.
Fantastic, fantastic. And how about like the duresses? Like you're going for the full four duresses, and then obviously some assorted assorted removal spells. But like why is it duress like a card that you are so interested as to playing more copies than actual counter spell even?
Yeah, I think you just got to worry about anything that could be like Psychotog's slow, right? You're not winning on turn 3, so you got to keep all those combo decks in check. Again, it's unfortunately bad against some of your weaker matchups like goblins, but it's like the necessary evil. You got to run duress, um, especially against red decks or control decks with counter magic, swords, or pyroblast. It's really the stuff you're just looking for. There's not a ton of removal spells that get rid of Psychotog, so you just got to get the one that deals with it, so you can kind of get ahead from there.
Interesting. And how about like you're playing 3 Hydroblasts, but usually people play a split between Hydroblast and Blue Elemental Blast because of cards like Cabal Therapy or like Meddling Mage or stuff like that. Like, what made you go for like the triple Hydroblast instead?
Yeah, so I hear you on that aspect of it, but I think in Psychotog, there's certain decks where there could be a situation where you need to get an extra card in the graveyard for like a ghastly demise, or just more fuel for your Psychotog or something along those lines. Where Blue Elemental Blast, you can't target something if it's not a legal target. Hydro Blast, you can end of turn to turn on Ghastly Demise their land. So there's corner case situations like that. So I think in Psychotog you need to run the Hydro Blast over like the split. But yeah, some decks it doesn't matter, but I think Psychotog it does, and it's mainly for the Ghastly Demise because the removal spells are a little scarce of what's like playable and not.
Fantastic. Awesome. So we're gonna be playing this match from my point of view. Every other week or something like that. Every other video we're gonna be going from Tom's point of view as well. So the idea is to have like a little bit of so you get a little bit of taste for both. You know what I'm saying? So without any further ado, let's play this match.
Let's go.
All right, this is exciting. So what do we got here? We have a kind of a medium hand. If any of these were a mana dork, I would like snap this hand off. But as is, I think I'm gonna move into 6. This is a little bit better. We also have like, yeah, I think I'm gonna keep this. I'm gonna bottom the mountain, I think, because we actually have fodder for the Grim Lava Man, which is nice. I'm gonna lean on Llanowar Elves for sure because if I do draw a survival, then I'm very interested in just having more mana so I can get the chain started. Blastoderm. Okay, so we're just going to play this Grim Lava Man, and this Llanowar Elf is gonna start getting his hands dirty. All right, Island kind of sucks a little bit for us because, now he can have counterspell for this Blasto. Am I jamming? If I jam and he counters, then he doesn't get to AK, so at least there's that. But on the other hand, I can just swing for... I think I'm just going to play out the foothills and just swing for 2. Because he can't actually answer my board with only blue mana. Okay, now that he's got access to black mana, things get a little bit dicier. It's not a great draw. Definitely not a great draw. I don't think I'm going to need too much red mana, so I'm going to prioritize green. And I guess because I have Masticore, I don't want to start playing more lands. So now I'm going to play the Blastoderm and see what he does. Because now if he counters the Blasto, then that feeds my green Lavamancer. So now it's interesting because if he continues hitting land drops... Okay, so he just passes back. So I think I'm going to be holding on to both of these. The problem is now he can FOF. So I think I'm actually going to attack here. And then I'm just going to play out the Masticore. So by casting the Masticore here, that means that he has to counterspell, which means that he actually can't. Ooh, that resolved. Okay. Fact or fiction. This is all sorts of bad for us. So I guess Jesus. We're gonna do this, I guess. I think intuition is less bad than fact or fiction for me here. There was an argument, I guess, last turn for just playing out the land and holding on to the Llanowar Elf so I can regen the Masticore. So right now we're ahead on board, so I have to make sure that I can turn that into a win. But yeah, he ended up keeping Leak Intuition opt. Snuff Out. Yep. Snuff Out's very good right there. That was the argument for like playing the forest. The problem with that is I'm gonna be locked at that point because I'm gonna be discarding cards every turn. Also, if I discard the bird and I draw survival, then I'm not in great shape. He plays out Psychatog. Interesting. Okay, so we're just gonna have to... That's rough. That's really rough. Guess we're just gonna pass it back. At least he can't intuition this turn. So basically, I just have to have him never ever draw an answer to this Green Lavamancer. Easy peasy, right? It's not looking good. This is not looking good for the good guys. Also, I am getting outcarded as well. Look at that. Everything's all frame on his side. It's beautiful, except with the Snuff Out. And my side is just like ugly Lavaman, ugly Karplusan. It's just a disaster. So he gushes and up to 11 cards in hand. No big deal. Intuition. Does he just have lethal? He may just have lethal here. He may just have lethal. Yeah, he actually does have lethal, right? 10? Up to... He's going to go up to 11 cards. Then... Yeah, this is just lethal. That's crazy. So I guess I had to play out the birds. I had to play out the birds as a chump blocker. I mean, I still think it's correct to hold it. Because if I do play survival, then I need some way to get things going. So Wonder goes to your hand. Because that actually puts a card in the graveyard. So now using this card Wonder, that's like 12 damage. Plus, I have to assume that this is just lethal. He also has Leak to continue digging. Yeah. He knows that I have no removal for it, so... Dude, Psychatog is such a sweet deck. Just one hit KO. Beautiful. Alright. These Pyroblast and Rebs. I like these. Not super high on these Lightning Bolts. Not super high on these Burst of Paradise either. I do like Phyrexian Furnace. Not a fan of Tormod's Crypt, but I do like Phyrexian Furnace. Just like being able to like constantly like ping at it. It's valuable. So I do like Genesis. I do like Color of the Claw. And I guess I like Sharpshooter. Is there anything that I'm not interested in? FTK can be bad sometimes. So let's bring in one birdie. And we have Bailout, we have Hermit, Pyroblast. There's nothing in my sideboard that I'm interested in. Yep. So we just have to hope that we draw a little bit more action this time around. Maybe I should be cutting the Flame Tongue Kabu. The problem is the bird better than FTK? I actually think so, because like he only has one creature, and the FTK is not gonna kill it, right? So we definitely want to make sure that we are leveraging these Pyroblasts, which, as Tom said in the deck tech, just a 1-mana answer to Psychatog, which is nice. I guess Vigilante sucks, so let's bring in FTK over Vigilante. Maybe I should just have some number of lightning bolts, just going face over Brawn. Like, Brawn's not gonna matter. Yeah, let's just do this. Just as a way to like shorten the game as much as I can, just to have access to some reach. Yeah, I actually do like the bolts better than Sharpshooter now that I think about it. Yeah, I honestly don't know why I brought in the Sharpshooters. Like, the Sharpshooters suck. Okay, I'm gonna keep this one. So we can go turn 1 Bird. He can have like Vendetta or something like that, and then we get absolutely destroyed. But if he doesn't have it, then we can just slam a Survival and just go from there. Interesting. I think I'm actually gonna go for Finhor House instead, because now I can hold up Reb. This is bad against Duress. It's not super likely for him to have kept Duresses in, but who knows. Second Survival. Okay, like, second Survival is not bad. So he's gonna use a counter spell here, and we're gonna let it go. Annul. Yeah, Annul's pretty brutal. We'd love to find some more lands here. Oof, these are not lands. Okay. He fetches in response to the Survival for a basic swamp. AK, that's fine. Draw a card is fine. Survival resolved. Okay. So I guess we're going to Survival on end step for, I guess, Anger. Now we just have to make sure that we keep the engine going. I guess I'm actually just gonna go get a squeeze. Green mana is good. We like green mana. I think Yavimaya Granger is pretty valuable here. So let's get Squee. And I think I'm just gonna go for Rootwalla. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna go for Rootwalla. Just gonna Rootwalla a bunch here. Opt. So he opts on end step, then fetches another AK. That's fine. We're basically keeping up on cards with him. So Tormod's Crypt. That's kind of brutal. All right, I mean that's gonna deal with my Squee engine, but now we're just going to put on the clock. I'd like to cast my Rootwalla. Thank you very much. Get another Rootwalla. Discard Rootwalla. Cast it. And yeah, I think I'm just going all in on Rootwallas here. Just put him on a clock, force him to tap out. Make stuff awkward for him. And here, I think we just get Anger, but we don't discard it. Because now I'm forcing, like, I have 2 angles that are forcing the Tormod's Crypt, right? If he doesn't want me to draw another card, like, he kind of has to crack now. Which is why I don't like Tormod's Crypt versus this kind of deck, versus survival decks, and I'd much rather have Phyrexian Furnace. But right here, he kind of has to crack, right? Otherwise, I just draw another card. Okay. Well, that's very good for me. I think I just play the Granger. Like, he kind of has to counter this. Otherwise, I just keep pushing forward. Oh, he doesn't. Okay. So more green mana, more better. Okay. Swing for 3. Slowly but surely, we're doing the thing. AK. That's a draw 3. That's not bad. Every time I have AK going, like, I just I'm always drawing 1. Need to get luckier here. Clearly, that's the strat. Do I care about a 2/2? Kind of like how we have this surprise 3 to the face that my opponent is not necessarily ready for. Also, we can just pump these if we wanted to. Like, he doesn't have infinite time. So, end step, we're going to discard Squee. We're going to get Sharpshooter, actually. Sharpshooter's pretty sexy. Untap. He goes to discard. We have triggers. I'm going to pay for Echo, because just a random 2/2 keeps pressuring him. Green mana is great. So now, dude's getting there. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Pass the turn. I mean, he's just doing nothing. Even now, if he talks, he just doesn't really have that much time. And I can just choose whenever I give haste to everything, which is nice. Okay, at this point, he's probably too far behind. I think we're getting Color of the Claw. Untap. Say yes. Nasty. So I just play out the Sharpshooter. He has to counter this, because like this is actually a lot of damage, because I can choose at any point and I can just give this haste if I, and he can't respond to the actual discard. So here's 1 2 3 4 5 6 damage. So now he's just dead. Yeah, now I mean, he doesn't know that I have a bolt in hand, but he's just dead. But yeah, Sharpshooter represents 1 damage for everything that gets killed, because all the triggers go on the stack, and then I just discard Anger, and this just gets haste out of nowhere. So that was nice. Okay. Do I care about Tormod's Crypt? I think it makes me want Orangutan over Sharpshooter, but it doesn't really make me want Vigilante. And I still think I value the bolts over that as well. It's close. It's close. But yeah, I mean, we saw the difference between like a game where I draw survival and a game where I don't, right? That's just kind of what just happened. I think I'm supposed to keep this. I would like to have something like a Pyroblast or something like that. But Cephalid Coliseum is a lot of damage for me. So that's good. That also means that he probably does not have many. I'm gonna sit on the survival for a little bit. Like, there's no way he could duresses. So now we're just like developing my mana a little bit. I'm just gonna fetch for a mountain here and then tap. It sucks. Granger. Okay, that resolved. I think I'd rather have another. We already have all of our red sources covered, so it's fine. Okay. So I'm waiting until I find a Pyroblast so I can slam the survival. Because my opponent's going to have access to stuff like Annul, is going to have access to like a bunch of other things. Disc. Okay. So what I can do now is I can go not pay for this. 1 2 to survival. Survival. Yeah, that puts me in a situation where I need to draw something. But we're going to say no here. This actually gives me a window to resolve survival. That almost helps. So 1 2 play survival for Orangutan, cast Orangutan, blow up your disc. So now he only has 1 more answer to survival. That's a very good draw. Fantastic. So now we just go discard Anger. That was a really, really good draw. Rootwalla. Get Rootwalla. Jesus. We're just gonna go off right here. We're gonna go off here. Get another Rootwalla. Get a Rootwalla. This engine is so messed up. This engine is really, really messed up. Last Rootwalla. Green. Whoops. Well, my bad. Well, I obviously I didn't mean to do that, but okay. I guess we pivot now. Pivot. Misclicks happened. Misclicks happened. We may just get away with it, but it's gonna be 9, 11, 12 damage. Opponent goes down to 6. Ghastly Demise. Okay, so we're just gonna activate last Rootwalla. That was a pretty bad misclick. That was a pretty bad misclick. Like, I was expecting to do even more stuff this turn. Like, I wasn't done, but well. Okay, so Psychatog versus the rest. I think so. And he gets the Tog. Understandably, it's like the only way that he can really stabilize here. There's also this bolt that they don't know about, so. But I mean, he has to slam the Tog right here. I don't think he really has any other option. He just doesn't have time. He blocks here. He takes 3, 4, 5, 6, and then I bolt his face, but he counters and he takes 1. Like, if I draw any creature at all, I think we win. But oh, he leads on Gush. Okay. So Gush means that now he No, he can still counterspell. Never. He can still hold up counterspell. The question is, does he have opt? Okay, I think we actually just put too much pressure on him. Crypt is... That's a good one. That's a good one. Okay. So we're just gonna jam here. We're going to pump both Wallas. This forces him to like use resources. And I think I'm just casting the Scholar of the Claw, just getting 2/2/2s out of the deal. It is actually a very interesting spot right here. Man, Survival is such a crazy card. And this is what I was envisioning when I was thinking about this deck, is just I want to make sure that if I ever draw Survival, like I can just change and I can just clock my opponent in a second, right? That's kind of what we're trying to do. Like I just, you know, it was one turn, right? It was one turn when my opponent was at 20 and then they were not at 20 anymore. So that's kind of the goal. That's what I was thinking that I wanted my deck to be able to do. And the only thing that I am wondering though is whether this makes the deck a little bit too reliant on the card Survival of the Fittest. So I want for my deck to also be able to play fine when there's no survival on board, you know? I guess here's a call. And I'm not actually discarding it to go with Squee, because I think that Color is actually a pretty good draw. So if he ever taps out, he loses. Perfect. So now Bold Face. Boom, baby! We got there. We got there. That was fun. That was fun. Man, this card is messed up. It really is. All right, man. What a match. That was kind of sick. It was nice to see both decks kind of doing their thing. Like game one, you were just going off, and you started. You know, you attack, and I'm just like, I'm dead here, right? I think I'm not gonna get another return right here.
Yeah, they were sick games. I was surprised I won game one. I thought maybe, well, bringing in Pyroblast is huge, but yeah, it was close, man. I think a lot of pre-modern games play out that way. It's just really close and grindy, and you get to kind of see the decks do their thing. So it was good that we didn't have to like mulligan or anything crazy like that. Each game was a game.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It
was definitely interesting.
It was nice to see like the difference between, you know, having survival and just not having survival. It was and how like it dramatically changes the game plan, right? Like it forces you into a situation where you know, you are hanging in there and you're like holding your cards and you're like, okay, I'm gonna try to, you know, fight over the survival. And like when you tapped out for the Nev disc, it's just like, oh, that's actually perfect for me. Like this is exactly the window that I was hoping for. That's great. I have exactly enough mana to make this work.
Yeah, that crossed my mind. I was like, I felt right to hold it, but then I was like, I maybe should play it. Maybe I'll get another turn, and that proved not to be the case. So, because I was holding the Prohibit for the survival, but I was like, let me just get this out there. I was like, or he's playing. I was like, he's either doesn't have it or he's just holding it for the right moment. And yeah, I think it was probably wrong to play the Nev's disc, but it was close. I didn't really have much going on, so I was like, okay, this could buy me time if you like don't go crazy next turn.
Exactly.
And then it was also awkward too. I had the Tormod's Crypt, so I was like, there's no. It was mainly anger I was worried about. So you just kind of recurring the Squee. I was like, at that point, even if I pop the Tormod's Crypt to get the Squee, I think you're still gonna get ahead finding anger, right?
Yeah, and I really liked how the engine, right? Like the engine that we were talking about in the deck, which was like the survival plus Baskin Rootwalla engine. It really popped off right there, right? Like you really saw how there's no board state. Now there's like 3/1/1 swinging at you. And it really made me think maybe I should just be playing the full 4 copies, because it was like such a big swing, and just having access to like this random thing. Like you had your Tormo script as you were saying, and it was just like, that's fine. Like that Tormo script is good. Like here's some Rootwalla, some random 1/1s that I can pump whenever I want. And then it's like, okay, you kind of have to pop my Squee, otherwise I keep drawing cards. But I'm holding onto this anger in hand. And
it was awkward.
Exactly. Is that like, do you have like a preference for something like Tormod's Crypt versus Phyrexian Furnace? Because like I've actually had a good success with Furnace versus survival decks, but Tormod's Crypt always feels like it's good versus the combo survival decks, like stuff like Fab and whatnot. But versus like the more value-oriented survival decks, it really feels like it just falls flat, you know?
It does, and that was probably like the portrait of what that, how Furnace would be better. And it's funny in that moment too. I was like, Furnace would be so good here. Yeah, I don't know. It's really interesting. Maybe Tormod Script's not worth it in the Psychatog. Like I feel like Landstill or Psychatog maybe is better with Furnace. Or you play like a 1-1 split. But I definitely, if I had 1-1 split, I wouldn't have brought Tormods in. It seemed like it was like not necessary, but like also necessary. And then you saw the awkward tension where like even if I pop it there, I know you have the anger. Like so, it's like this weird mind game of like I'm probably gonna waste my Tormods if I do it on the squee. But then I'm also letting you get a card every time, and really interesting. But I also think you see a little bit of Psychatog struggles too. It can't handle go wide strategies well, and also survival landing is rough for Psychatog. You have to kind of set up a quick win soon, or you're not gonna be able to catch up.
Yeah. Is that a reason why you're playing stuff like Vapor, like Chain of Vapor in the sideboard, or?
Yeah, it's just like a random catch-all, and you randomly like aren't playing your Tog where Chain might be relevant, like for them just like bounce your Psychatog. But even if they do bounce your Psychatog, at least you got rid of their issue. The issue you're dealing with at the time.
I wonder if something like Powder Keg could be useful in that kind of scenario. Just like to remove stuff like, yeah, you just have no answers to survival once it has landed. Otherwise, so.
Yeah, I would say Powder Keg. It only because it's. I always like to think if it's like Ratchet Bomb or something. It only hits artifacts and creatures.
Oh really? Oh, never mind.
No, Fran, no idea why. Like, can't hit enchantments. Like, I just don't understand why. Like, it just. I mean, a Ratchet Bomb card shows like probably what it should have said.
Yeah.
I bet if they can go back in time, they would put enchantments. Like, why are enchantments not on there?
Yeah.
But that's pretty. Funny. It's just like I wish it did. It would be so sick. It's almost like. I mean, this is going off a little tangent. I think Exalted Angel, like in the Shoba, I wish Lifelink was just given to them rather than like the stack. Damn, it's just odd. It seems like it's outdated.
Yeah, I mean, because it is. I mean, in a way, it's kind of part of the charm, though. Like, I remember the other day when I was playing the Solution, I played versus, I don't know who I was playing against, but like, I made an attack, and I was like, this is fine. I got Lifelink, and then I'm like, oh, no, actually, I don't.
Yeah. No, I don't know. I think it should be creatures with that ability where, when they're dealt damage, gain life. It should just be Lifelink. I don't know. It just seems cleaner, but yeah, maybe there's some like cool nostalgia there, but I'm not. I mean, I had the nostalgia, but I'd rather just be Lifelink. It just makes more sense.
Yeah, I guess making it cleaner.
That was a cool matchup, though. That was fantastic. Yeah, I think my big misplay maybe was the disc, but I didn't really have much going on, and it seemed like if I didn't play the disc there, I was still in trouble. That engine was crazy. Like that was sick. It reminded me of like there's a more recent vintage deck, like a Bazaar deck that's playing like Rootwalla. So you got to see Rootwalla go crazy, and it was so insane. And a lot of decks can't beat that. So
yeah. No, I honestly, I'm like, yeah, I what should I cut to make room for the fourth Rootwalla? I feel like it just needs to be there, but like it really, like when combined with anger as well, it was just like there's no board state, now take 7, it's just like, in the same turn, it was really, really crazy. So it looked very impressive, and what makes me wonder though is like, when I was trying to build a deck, I was trying to say, okay, I would like for this deck, obviously the deck it's easy to make a deck that's broken with a survival in play. I wanted to try to make a deck that's also good, or like it's also fine when there's no survival in play. You know what I'm saying? So that it feels like it's going to be like the struggle, that feels like it's going to be the fight that I'm going to try to the problem that I'm going to be trying to solve for this deck, in trying to making the deck still reasonable even when there's no survival in play. And I wonder if that, some oldies but goodies will need to go, like Flametongue Cabo, maybe a card like that really just needs to go to make room for like a more straightforward, like a cleaner curve that just gets the opponent death,
Absolutely. It's a little bit like the blue-green madness, right? They used to not play survival, and then I guess they realized like, okay, the deck's not good without it. But I think the red version might have more reach because of sideboard cards and stuff like that, so you can kind of stall more until you get survival and stuff. But yeah, no, it seemed impressive. And the Rootwalla chain was so sick. Like that's something that's just like, you love to see that.
Oh,
so
yeah.
right.
Oh, I'm pretty sure they never, when they designed Rootwell, they never thought, oh, this is just gonna go off, you know?
Like, yeah, like it's that good, but that was so sick. Like that, like when you were doing that, I had a smile. I was like, this is so sick.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I saw that chain happening like that. It's so cool.
Yeah, yeah. The haste definitely, you know, because you see it with Blue Green Madness, but the haste really adds a whole nother element to it. You know,
it does. Yeah, it's not just your sideboard cards. It's also the anger is just so busted. Haste is really important. Like maybe flying is the best evasion. If you want, I don't know if haste is really evasion, but the haste, especially in pre-modern 2, it's really important.
All right, man, this was awesome. So this is gonna be the end of our very first iteration of Dueling Grounds. Looking forward to the next one. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you let us know what you liked in the comments down below. And yeah, any final shout outs, Tom?
No, that was awesome, and we can't just we're doing this for the community and just to bring content, while we're having fun along the way, just trying to push this format. So hope everyone enjoys it.
Yeah, have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye bye.